Now, the prophet who lived at the time of the final destruction of Judah and saw the fall of Jerusalem at the hands of the Babylonians in 587 was the prophet Jeremiah. Another long prophetic book. So we have our three long prophetic books: Isaiah of the Assyrian crisis, Jeremiah of the Babylonian crisis, and Ezekiel writing from exile in Babylon. And Jeremiah was born of a priestly family in a village near Jerusalem, Anatot, and he began prophesying while he was still a boy. Now, he was a contemporary of King Josiah, and so he saw the Renaissance that briefly occurred under his guidance, the sweeping reform, the eradication of Assyrian influences that had been welcomed by King Manasseh, the renewal of the covenant, all of these activities that are so highly favored by the biblical writer. And when Josiah died, Jeremiah also lamented his passing, along with the rest of the nation. Jeremiah witnessed the final destruction and the exile. The book of Jeremiah is a collection of very different types of material. There's really no clear organization. There's no clear chronological order, not the kind of thing you can just sort of sit down and read from beginning to end and hope it'll make sense. There are prophecies. There are oracles and diatribes against foreign nations. There are stories, biographical narratives. There's some poetry. And at the very end, a little brief historical appendix, which really resembles 2 Kings chapters 24 and 25. So the literary history of the book itself is also quite complex because there's a great variation in our ancient witnesses. The Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the Bible, 3rd century BCE Greek translation of the Bible, Jeremiah is much shorter than the Hebrew version of Jeremiah. Right? Internally, the arrangement is different. There are also significant differences between the Hebrew text that we have now and some fragments of Jeremiah that have been found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. So this attests to the very open-ended nature of written compositions in antiquity. We find three main types of material, however, in Jeremiah: the poetic oracles that generally are attributed to Jeremiah, then biographical anecdotes and narratives about him, which are attributed to his amanuensis and assistant, Baruch ben Neriah, ben simply meaning son of. So Baruch, the son of Neriah, whose name comes up quite a bit in the book of Jeremiah. And he is a scribe who assists Jeremiah, and it's thought that perhaps the biographical narrative sections were composed by Baruch ben Neriah. Then we also have certain editorial notes about Jeremiah that are in the style of the Deuteronomistic historian, Deuteronomistic editor. Jeremiah in general seems to have very close connections with the language and the ideology of Deuteronomy.